Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Karen McCarthy with Vermont Collaborative Circle, and we're here with the Pivot and Thrive interview series of Laura Mack of Lulu Ice Cream. We are showcasing in the Pivot and Thrive interview series business owners who are demonstrating creativity, collaboration, and resilience, and helping to share people's stories so that you can connect with each other, find inspiration, and learn so that you can grow your business and connect with other business owners in the community so we can accelerate the pace of business success in Vermont. So I'm really glad that you're here. We're going to start with a land acknowledgement to the Abenaki people on whose land we are gathering, socially distant today. But I want to recognize the Abenaki people as the past, present, and future caretakers of the beautiful mountains, lakes, and rivers that we enjoy, the Dawnland, Vermont. So thank you for joining us. And we are recording today. If you have questions, we'll be having a Q&A session at the end. Feel free to add your questions to the chat box, and we will do our best to answer them all. And without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce Laura Mack. Laura is the flavor creator and owner of Lulu Ice Cream based in Vergennes. It's a farm to spoon ice cream shop where the flavors are made in-house. So Laura, thank you so much for joining us. I'd love for you to start by just telling us a little bit about your business and about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for putting this on and allowing me to be part of it. I'm quite excited. A little about me. So I'm a Vermonter born and raised. I'm very fortunate. I've grown up with my parents at a restaurant, Mary's at Baldwin Creek in Bristol, that really helped formulate who I am and my passions. And as you mentioned, I'm very much into flavor creation. Originally started with cocktails, which makes everyone happy, of course, but then I realized my love is truly ice cream, and I can still play with flavors just the same as cocktails, but in ice cream form. And so that's sort of how Lulu originally started, was just from playing around and realizing that it was a joy and a passion for me. And it snowballed from there. And I'm very, very fortunate that I get to have joy of my job every day being ice cream.
That's fantastic. And really, I think you share joy with other people. I've known you for a few years and seen your business grow, and you are an incredible flavor creator. So I'm really excited that you've been able to tap into that passion and create a business and share it with other people because your flavors are really inspired and delicious. And
And slightly.
so, yeah. So good job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And if you haven't tried Lulu ice cream, hop on down to Vergennes and pick up a pint. And we'll talk about some other ways that you can access Laura's products in the call. But it's really absolutely worth the trip, no matter where you're traveling from. She's fantastic. Actually, I should say we have a bed and breakfast, and we always send our guests both to Mary's Inn at Baldwin Creek and for drinks and dinner, and also to Lulu's in Vergennes, which is fantastic. And people just rave about it and come back again and again. So thank you for helping to support their experience and to share the good flavors of Vermont and just the joy that you bring to your work. Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about Lulu? What's the story? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, so Lulu is actually a word in the dictionary that means something that's outstanding and remarkable. So our ice cream itself is a Lulu. And so every day we kind of take that idea of being outstanding and remarkable and put it in all of our products. So we do everything from making ice cream from scratch, literally from start to finish. We know where all of our product is coming from and make it into our own. In scoops, in pints, in out of this world custom ice cream cakes, which has been my COVID sanity. It's allowed me to have a lot of activity for myself and mental stimulus that I know some of us are missing in this weird year that we're in. And then we also do coffee and pastries that also allows us to have that kind of concept of being a Lulu, having a great cup of coffee. There's nothing better than that. And having like homemade Pop-Tarts and scones and things like that is also a Lulu experience as well.
And putting it all together under one roof, you've got it all. So that's fantastic. Thank
It's
you.
really all of my vices. The business is really all for me. All the things that I love are what's in the business.
Well, thanks for bringing us along with you on that journey, because the invitation is welcome. The flavors are really fantastic. Um, Speaking of which, you've won some awards for your flavor creations. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we've actually been very fortunate that we've had a lot of fans and love of what we do, and ranging from Yankee Magazine rating us one of the best homemade ice creams in the state of Vermont, and to Travel and Leisure saying we're one of the places in Vermont that you need to see and stop at, to winning best one of the top 5 savory ice creams in the nation with our basil, and we have huge accolades for. I think my dad's listening right now, but our Slumdog Millionaire, which is his actual one and only creation and the most talked about ice cream flavor, which is a curried peanut butter ice cream. So I do all the rest. We have tons, and he still gets the largest accolades with his phenomenal creation of curried peanut butter ice cream. We like to skirt the line of the unusual and bring a different flavor profile than. I mean, we have the traditional just because you can't go wrong with a great vanilla, and we have a great vanilla, but you also can have a little bit more adventure, and that's where we like to have a lot of fun with our ice cream.
Explore. That's great. Well, there are always challenges and opportunities in family business, so I'm glad that you're finding ways to connect and keep it in the family and share in those awards and recognition. Can I ask, did you how did you go about getting recognized in those ways? Did you pitch to different media places, or did people find you?
It has all been by people finding us, which is why we're very fortunate that we've had fans and people talk about us, and a lot of it's been word of mouth of people experiencing it. For instance, the Travel and Leisure one, I got an email from the writer who happened to be hiking and had Googled ice cream local and walked in our shop because he wanted ice cream after a hike and was like, I need to add you into our article. It wasn't the original pitch, but it needs to be in here. So we're just
Wow.
really fortunate that our space and our product is just so fun and wants to be involved in kind of cool things. I really should be much better about pitching ourselves, but I get distracted by making ice cream than doing that side of things.
Well, clearly you're doing something right. So I guess stay busy with the flavor creations and the people will come to you. So if it's working, don't mess with it. I think you're right. You do have a really vibrant brand and youthful space. It just it is clean and bright. And so I think everybody loves that right now, especially. Yeah.
Again,
Can
it's all with my brain. That's all things that I'm like, that's how my personality is. So like, let's throw it in there.
It's lovely. It's lovely. Can you tell us, I mean, so much has changed this year. Can you tell us a little bit about how changes in the market have affected you and your business, how you're connecting with clients? What's changed for you?
Yeah. So it's, I know 2021 now, but I feel like we're still in 2020 because COVID's still very present. So uh, ironically, this was the first year I ever actually did an operational plan at the beginning of, end of 2019 into 2020. And I dragged my feet for months about it. And my mother helped me put it together. And we were feeling really confident and we had structure and everything that I've always sort of never put my mind to doing and being organized. And then COVID hit and all of our plans to do more events and get a cart, be around people totally fell by the wayside, which I jokingly say this is why I don't plan ahead because
Best
things like
laid
the
plans.
pandemic happens. But I've been really fortunate by being able to have the experience of growing up in a restaurant. I'm just kind of roll with the punches, and I'm used to changing things. You know, working a shift in a restaurant, things run out and you have to readjust and come up with a new plan. And so I've grown up in that. And so for me, my personality is sort of never sticks to anything. And I sort of roll with the punches and make adjustments, even when I don't even think about it. And so when the pandemic hit, we definitely took like a week to readjust and kind of breathe and figure out what was even possible for us, just since there was so much uncertainty. Um, but then we sort of built up what we could do, what we knew we could do, what our abilities were, how could we support the community, and sort of build from there. So it was a long year of constant readjustments. I mean, every hour sometimes was different. But with the support of the community, the Department of Agriculture, they would have daily calls that we could call into and find out what we could do for production. We were able to kind of just roll with the punches and adjust what our plans were and what we do. However, I mean, when it really boiled down to it, and when I think about it, we've always gone above and beyond with our cleaning practices and how our production plant is. So we didn't really have to do a lot of changes on the production side. I mean, now we wear masks, so there's a difference there, but making the ice cream hasn't changed. And we now have to submit online orders for our milk delivery as opposed to having a conversation with someone. But again, we've moved to that new direction and we've been able to pivot. And we've been really fortunate that we've been able to still provide that joy to people, even in this uncertainty. And I'm very fortunate that my staff have been really flexible and roll with the punches. And we've been able to kind of keep going in new directions. Obviously, we're not doing offsite events or anything like that that we had planned, but we still have our shop and we're still open. And we now are doing deliveries and we're about to implement shipping. So we've been able to really take what we know we're good at and keep it going even in this insanity.
Can
Um,
you tell us a little bit? So you have a team. How does that work? Um, how many people do you work with? How does it work for you being in a team environment in COVID times?
Yeah, I have a significantly smaller team than I've ever had before. I have two high school students that have been with me for a couple years now, and they come after school, and they're so used to new COVID practices that they're
Unfazed.
and they're really positive and a bright energy that comes into it. And now I actually have a staff member that also works at Mary's with me in tandem there, because I'm still working for my parents and we want to keep our bubble as small as possible. So I'm giving him extra hours at Lulu because I already feel safe enough to be around him all the time. So it
Oh,
sort of
that's great.
worked really well that we were able to fill a lot of boxes with that. And he's known me for 6 years working with me, so he knows how crazy eccentric I can be and just goes with it. And I also work every day with my parents still, again, at Mary's and at Lulu. And so again, my bubble is very small and I have a phenomenal support system. And they all sort of have fell into different niches that I need at the time, which is really nice to have a really solid support system.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, community is so important, and I think it looks different for everyone, especially this year. But finding that group of people you can pitch ideas to or fall back on when times are tough is so valuable. So I'm glad that you have a really strong and intentional network and partners that you've collaborated and partnered, created new partnerships with. I guess they're existing because you're related, but
Yeah,
but it's great that you're doing it with intention and you're helping to support both of your businesses with that practice. So that's fantastic. Um,
absolutely.
you mentioned a little bit about sourcing your products. Can you tell us about, you have amazing flavors. How do you get them?
Yeah, so for me, the whole concept of Lulu is knowing where everything comes from and knowing that we make it from scratch. And that's really the full entire basis for me, is making it from scratch. So I know that there's no preservatives, no mixes, no weird extracts that I can't pronounce, and no stabilizers. So for us, we're getting milk from right down the road, literally Monument Farm Dairy, who I've known my entire life because they originally were delivering to my parents, and it was a natural fit. They have a phenomenal product. They're right down the road. Why not keep using them? I also get eggs from right down the road as well. Actually, they sometimes will deliver my eggs if I'm desperate. Um, And then from that, so I literally use eggs and milk from right down the road, no mixes in that respect. And then I take whatever seasonally is coming from around the area and sort of have fun with it. There's definitely classics that I love to do, and flavors that are, our basil is one of our most popular flavors. And that's a little bit bizarre in a sense, but to me it was like, oh, well, why not just use some basil from right down the road? It's like mint. It's exactly
Mm.
that same profile. To sometimes I have mistakes and mistakes happen. And again, kind of the rolling with the punches, I make a new flavor from that mistake. And sometimes it'll never be able to come back out because
A
I don't know.
specialty.
I don't know what I did to make the mistake happen. Or sometimes I didn't think it was as stellar of a success as some of our others. Or in some cases, they've become new fan favorites.
Mm.
So a lot of it is sort of just having fun and playing around, and then hoping I wrote it down because it might be really popular.
Are you willing to share with us one of your best mistakes?
Yeah. Our most recent one that is definitely going to be a continual flavor. It's a cinnamon and peanut butter ice cream.
Oh my gosh.
And that happened because my dad was there helping me make ice cream, and he and I were talking. And I was making cinnamon ice cream, and he was making Slumdog right next to it. And we were talking, and all of a sudden I look and I realize he's putting peanut butter into my batch of ice cream instead of his. And I said, um, I don't know if you realize, but yours doesn't have peanut butter anymore. Mine does, which I guess is now a new flavor. uh, it's phenomenal. It's great.
Cool.
Another one's been Passport to Paris, which is a white chocolate creme brulee. And that was
Mm.
because I totally thought I turned off the pot, and I ended up toasting the white chocolate instead of turning off the pot and letting it sit. And it actually turned out to be one of my all-time favorites. It's incredibly rich and creamy, has
Ooh.
the like almost toasted burnt sugar
Smoky.
flavor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yum.
there's definitely been a lot that I also probably made mistakes and don't remember what they are, but those are some of the fan favorites that I definitely remember.
Fun. You should keep a little, a little notebook of like your best whoopsies. That's great. I love that. Um, I would love to hear if you have a favorite flavor for yourself. What is it that excites you?
It depends. Do you want to know what one I love to make or which one I like to eat?
Both.
Okay. So eating is totally mood dependent. I do not have a standby, but I love to usually, I guess I'll say, I usually gravitate towards like our Earl Grey tea or green tea ice cream or something with coffee in it. But last night I half a pint of seriously chocolate ice cream. So it all depends on what mood I'm in, what's available, what I have a hankering for, if I have sprinkles, if I don't have sprinkles. So I'm a very mood dependent person when it comes to ice cream, which allows me to try a lot more things and have a lot more loves than always having a classic standby. I like to have fun with my flavors making and fun eating as well. Making wise, I love making anything that's infused. The like
Mm.
process of watching the custard change and smell and texture right in front of me just embodies the like excitement of it. I equate it with my partner. I was telling him a couple days ago that I equate it to, when you vacuum, you can see the difference in the carpet and how satisfying that is. And
Yes.
I'm making like an orange cardamom. I can watch the like orange blossom color float into the ice cream and slowly change flavor. And then you get the like spice notes of the cardamom at the end. So it's just one that I can literally watch the product change and become something fantastic in front of my eyes.
Well, that sounds amazing. And I wish I had some now. I'm sorry, we're all talking about flavors when we're probably hungry. Um, if you have visions of what this next year might look like, what are you anticipating or hoping?
I'm hoping that on a personal level, people are really smart and we wear masks and we'll slowly creep out of this insanity and be able to, in a year or so, reminisce about the weird time in our life that we had to wear masks and socially distance. And I miss hugging people. I never
Mm.
thought I was going to be a person that missed hugging, but I do. So that's on a kind of personal note. I just hope that we're all safe and smart and wash our hands constantly. On a business side, I just hope that we're able to maintain being part of the community and keep kind of having this momentum of fun, because we all need a little fun in our lives. I'm having so much fun with ice cream cakes. So I hope those continue to come in. I have a baby Yoda one for this week that I'm excited to make a baby Yoda somehow out of a little tiny ice cream cake. So stay
Fun.
tuned to our social media for that. And we're also implementing subscriptions, because if there's nothing that I learned in 2020 more than I needed structure in my personal life and I needed ice cream, and why not make two of those things go hand in hand? So doing a pint of the month club where you could either do like 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, but you're going to get a constant barrage of ice cream, just like my dog gets a bark box. So
Yeah.
it's one that there's something to look forward to. So we're in the midst of implementing that. But again, I just really, it all sort of boils down to how safe everyone is.
Sure, sure. And I think you're so right. I mean, in this time, I feel like people want something that they can look forward to, something good. For the first time ever, we haven't been able to really plan for things in advance. So having like the little joys of, oh, this is my subscription. My subscription comes this week. I think is really smart. That's fantastic. Now, you also have a lineup of merchandise, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
how is that, and how did that get started? Can you tell us any secrets about what's happening with your
Yeah.
merchandise too?
So we've always had like t-shirts and the kind of the normal things that I felt like you always want to have, like branded t-shirts and have that association when you're wearing it that you have this love and this passion. Um, but I had never really focused on that or thought very much about it until the beginning of COVID, and I realized I had given up on actually looking presentable and I only wanted to live in my sweatshirt. And I realized everyone else was, because we're all at home anyway. So comfort is the number one thing right now. And so we actually made sweatshirts that say, stay at home, eat Lulu ice cream. And a portion of the proceeds went to the Vermont Food Bank.
Mhm.
And just watching the amount of people around Vergennes wearing them makes my heart so happy, because I'm basically living in it. I actually was discussing earlier that I was going to wear one on this call, but they're currently covered in ice cream. But I'm basically living out of those sweatshirts. And then from that, it's always kind of spiraled into what other comforts do I love and do we want other people to love? So we just did beanies, so you can be warm and share your love of Lulu, um, whether it's going snowshoeing or walking outside by yourself or with a few friends. Just little things that we're able to be a part of this world we're in right now with comfort and happiness and the kind of joy that ice cream brings, but that you could just slap your hat on and wear it all day and remember
Yeah,
how great it is.
that's good. And I noticed the other day you posted a beautiful photo of a pint of ice cream in the snow, which I thought was so smart because sometimes we think of ice cream as being like a really seasonal, oh, it's a summery thing. It's what we do when it's hot. But we're all hunkered down being cozy at home. And it's so fun to have. I mean, what else are we doing but having movie nights and binging Netflix things? So
Totally.
let's add a pint of good flavor. And on top, I think that was really smart. I noticed that you were positioning it. Maybe it wasn't unintentional, but I saw you as a very savvy business person
Oh, thank you.
positioning it in the snow. So keep up,
Well,
keep
I
up the
am,
marketing.
even before COVID, I'm a fan of every season is ice cream season.
Oh
No
yes,
rules, no judgment on any day. Any and every day is a good ice cream day. Um, but I also think that I personally eat more ice cream in the winter than any other time, because I'm more reserved in the summer. I'll have like a cone with a scoop on it. in winter, I'm sitting on the couch eating an entire pint, which I believe is a serving size. It's in one container, but I definitely think that there's no rules on when you should be eating ice cream.
And rules should be broken anyway, right? Or everything in moderation, including moderation. Can you tell us a little bit about the process of starting your business? How did you get started?
Yeah, I jokingly always say I've sort of blacked out and all of a sudden I have a business. But a lot of it was, again, from growing up in a restaurant and playing around with flavors. And a lot of it started with my sister, actually. She was working for my parents, and I was actually living in New York at the time. And she was starting to do cupcakes and things like that for my parents' restaurant, and then realized ice cream would be a great pairing with that. Um, but she needed me, of course, to make sure it was good because I'm the ice cream fanatic of the family. And so she actually gave me some ice cream when I was up visiting, and I said, this is the most amazing thing I've ever had in my life. We should do something. And I sort of
Mm.
jokingly said it. And my parents, luckily, again, kind of my personality, they roll with the punches, and we're like, well, let's just try it and see if it could be something. And we'll support you. And so it sort of
Cool.
started from there with a home Cuisinart 1 quart little tabletop, like a home cook would have for ice cream maker, which usually takes about like 45 minutes to an hour of just slowly, constantly churning.
Churning. Yeah.
From there, we just kept growing, and I would fly home on the weekends, and it became 8 of these tiny home things running constantly. I still have like nightmares of that sound, just like me, just constantly going. Uh, I got tired of my job in New York City and realized that I had done all I could in that position, and my lease was up in New York, and my amazing partner was totally gung ho to move with me. And so we decided to move up to Vermont and become an ice cream maven. And so that's where I sort of fell into it. I realized that my love of ice cream became a love of making ice cream. And
Mm.
so it sort of all happened from there. And I've been really, really fortunate that everyone else has some love like me.
That's great. If you had a nugget of advice, if you were starting your business now with what you know from your experience, what might you share with someone who is just starting out?
Don't let the little things defeat you or deflate you. Every day is going to have a hiccup, but at the end of the day, if you're happy doing it, those little speed bumps will not pale in comparison to the things that you're excited about. I'm really, really fortunate that I found work that I love doing, to the point that I think I might be a workaholic, but I don't think it's a bad thing because I just love doing it. And it's so zen for me. I can lose track of time just by making ice cream and not be mad about it at
Mm.
all. I'm 99% of the time late for everything because I'm usually distracted by making ice cream or talking to customers and just being in the space. And there are hiccups and things that I run into and roadblocks, but the little things just don't matter when you're happy doing what you're doing.
That's fantastic. And honestly, it aligns really well with a concept in positive psychology called flow, where the challenge is just outside of reach, but aligned well with your experience and what brings you joy. That you're like a golden retriever going for the ball. It's a good throw. It's just far as you want to run for it, and it just keeps you going. And you lose track of time. You skip meals. You're just so passionate about what it is that you do. That you're in that flow state. So that's really cool that you're living that concept and showing us it's possible. That's great. Um, if you had someone who was inspiring you in the ice cream world, in business, in flavor creation, who might that person be?
Overarching in my life, my parents are definitely the like people I inspire to be. They're been doing restaurant work, owning a restaurant for like 40 years now, and still, even in this insanity that is just bonkers for restaurants, they're still getting up and doing it every day. And um, they're the ones who instilled in me the like love and passion of buying local and knowing where your food comes from. So overarching, definitely my parents. And they're, if you guys don't know Mary's at Baldwin Creek, definitely check them out because it's bonkers the things they do. And I pale in comparison. I do ice cream and they do everything else.
And they were incredibly early adopters of the local food movement.
Yeah.
So it's great that you're calling that out.
They were doing it way before it was trendy and cool, for sure.
Right. For real.
And they still somehow are able to help me every day. My dad will make biscuits and scones, and my mom does my bookkeeping. It's just crazy that they want to support me and help me in every way, and still are able to do all the things that they do as well. That it actually makes me tired thinking about some of the stuff they do. And then also in the outside of my family realm, I definitely stock a lot of ice cream places. And there's a place out of Ohio that's called Vergennes, and I feel like I'm maybe the like more nerdy version of her, but one day I hope to be as cool and well known and recognized as she is, with within the ice cream world, but maybe a little bit more nerdy. I'm okay with my nerdiness. I
I
love
love bookishness. I love that. That's great. And it's good that you own it. I think that, when you recognize what's uniquely yours, it helps you to step into that power and own that identity. So keep doing it. That's great. Let's see. I have some questions for you. Oh, can you tell us a little bit about how you partner with people? Like you've done work with others in Vergennes. What's your neighborhood like?
Vergennes is a very, very cool place. I'm very honored and fortunate that we were able to, when we made a move from Bristol, we found a home in Vergennes. Our building's awesome, our landlords are awesome, but the community itself is just such a vibrant and energetic area. Also, interestingly enough, I think I was discovering this yesterday, I think like 85% of the businesses are owned by women. So also very cool that we have such a kind of girl downtown area, and very young. So it still has its growing pains, but being part of that is just a wonderful experience, and they sort of envelop everyone and allow everyone to kind of share their experiences and learn from each other. So we're really lucky that we're in the heart of it all and have the community base of Vergennes itself. The Vergennes partnership does a stellar job of keeping everyone connected. During COVID, they have gone above and beyond, asking what the businesses need and giving it to them, and trying to find new and exciting ways to get people to come out safely to downtown or spend money or interact on social media. So the fact that they're really helping to drive the energy is wonderful. They, instead of telling us what they can do, they're just listening and hearing what we need, which is really, really a breath of fresh air that a downtown partnership is doing that. But also I'm really lucky that all the business owners like to have a text change. So they'll be like, oh, our new hours are going to be this. What are your hours? When were you slow? How can we help you? What can we do?
Wow.
Oh, I'll send someone down to get a coffee after they go shopping for clothes. So it's such a fun kind of community. I mean, it's technically a city, but it's definitely has that like quintessential cutesy town, quintessential Vermont feel, which I'm really fortunate that we can be part of that.
That's great. That's really, community is so valuable. Now you said that you have a text line. Do you use Slack or any other programs? Like how is that coordinated?
So there's a mix of very young people and there's a mix of some of the more mature people. So we do it solely on actual text message.
Cool.
But there are some that I'm involved in where the restaurants, I've somehow slid myself into the restaurant. I don't think that they realize that I'm not technically a restaurant, but I'm still privy to all their conversations.
Great.
And then I'm actually on the board of the Bixby Library, but they use Slack, and that has a lot of kind of what can the Bixby do to have people pick up books and pick up dinner or things like that. So
cool.
there is a lot of networks and a lot of interaction. And interestingly enough, a lot of on the street, 6 feet away, wearing masks still happening of just like, what's going on with you? How can we help?
Yeah, yeah. Now you mentioned deliveries, and you mentioned the library and
Mhm.
other. Are there ways? How can people find a pint? What's the best way to locate a Lulu?
Yeah, so we're the best biggest selection will definitely be in the shop. So if you
Mhm.
want to be have your socks blown off and want to see just a huge array, almost terrifyingly amount of different flavors of ice cream, come into the shop and spend a couple minutes just looking at our display freezer, which is grab and go. You don't have to hang out too long, but definitely see as many as possible. And then we also have online. So if you want to do curbside or delivery, that does have a little bit smaller selection just so we can keep up with it. But there's definitely still, if you have a hankering and you want to grab your phone or go online, that's still a possibility. And we do deliveries twice a week within the like Burlington, Chittenden County, and Addison
Wow.
County area. As of right now, that definitely, hopefully, will be expanding, but for right now, that's what it is. And then we're in the midst of figuring out shipping and hope to have that up and running in the very, very near future,
Wow.
which will make a lot of our regional fans happy. I get a lot of emails from people in like New York and New Jersey who are just like, all I need right now is Lulu ice cream. When can I get it? So we're definitely listening to those appeals. Um, and but there's also some really cool partners that are around the state that we have them as kind of wholesale partners. Closest to you, as you know, is the Gateway Farm, which is a little cute shack on the side of the road at a farm.
Lovely.
Uh,
Yeah.
they're they get a lot of different varieties of ice cream. We also have Philo Ridge Farm in Charlotte that has a lot of different ice creams. So it's one that we've are in the midst of wanting to expand wholesale. It's a weird time to be doing that just because it's hard to meet people or have meetings to do more wholesale accounts. But those that we have right now are really great fans and allow people to get it in their own community as well.
That's good. Now, are you just swimming in dry ice? How are you working out the, sorry, you just took a glass of water. Uh, how do you work out the deliveries and the shipping?
Deliveries currently have been via the car, and I have a portable freezer that plugs
Ah,
into my cigarette lighter.
cool.
So me and my Prius chug along, and sometimes my partner, who goes up to Chittenden more frequently than me, he'll have bags of pints that he has to deliver as well.
A
Uh,
new age ice cream truck.
yeah, the Vermont
Cool.
version of an ice cream truck.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Environmentally friendly. I love it.
And we also have freezer tote bags now that people can stop in the shop and grab them. And we keep our pints cold enough that you could travel for 45 minutes with one of those little freezer totes and it would be totally fine. Also, the perk of not using any mixes or preservatives, if it melts, it won't get freezer burned. So it
Mm.
has a lot more ability to be a great product even if you mess it up a little bit.
How did you learn the science behind all? I mean, there's so much to like having the right temperatures and sugars and fat balances. How did you learn that?
I'm still learning, but I think the nerdiness in me loves it. I've been reading a lot of the science of ice cream recently, which is a book that talks about like the differences between different ice creams and what temperatures and what the fat ratio should be, and kind of learning from there. But a lot of it was sort of just I had a great recipe
Play.
and I played around with it, and
Cool.
just seeing it when it comes out of the machine, you can kind of tell the difference. And I can really, at this point, my dad jokingly calls it my super hearing, but I can hear when it's done in the machine before a timer even goes
The
off. I'm like,
crystals
oh,
are happening. Yeah.
it's done.
Cool.
The same way as when I'm making an ice cream, I'm like, oh, it's definitely, we're almost there, just like 2 more minutes or something like that. So I've just been able to kind of I've done it and played
Yeah.
around with it enough that I've learned, but I'm still learning. And I think I will always be continually learning, which makes it exciting and new for me every day.
Cool. That's great. Um, can you tell us a little bit about, uh, you said you're a workaholic. How are you finding balance in what you're doing? What would you suggest for others who are working really hard.
Yeah, I actually will say the one silver lining of COVID is that I've actually had a lot better work-life balance. Pre-COVID, I was working for my parents full time, so that was 5 nights a week, and then working at Lulu pretty much every day. And so it was a lot of like late nights or early mornings or running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So not that it's a good thing that my parents have shortened their hours. But for me, I've appreciated it because I now have Monday through Thursday nights off, which allows me to either do something at Lulu or sit at home and binge watch TV. So I've had a lot better and more healthy work-life balance, which has actually made me love my job even more because
Mm,
it's now not that I have to be rushing to do it, but I can just be doing it at my speed.
mhm.
But I still loved it before. It's just I'm fortunate now that with COVID, I've had a silver lining of appreciating having that balance.
That's good. And you said that one of your favorite projects now is doing ice cream cakes.
Yeah.
How much time do people need if they wanted to order one? Like, how much lead time do you need? And then how do you find inspiration? Like, what is that process for you?
A lot of the inspiration comes from people directly ordering something that they want directly. But it actually started at the beginning of COVID. Someone reached out and wanted to do a Parks and Rec themed ice cream cake. And I said, sure. So I had a giant Ron Swanson head on the cake and realized that I was like, oh, this is a lot of fun to actually decorate a cake. And I've done Mary's cakes before. And so I can do like little twirls of design, but nothing eccentric or things that I like to do as much. And so it sort of spiraled from there. I've done everything from Mother's Day. We had a little heart tattoo of a mom heart on top of the cake.
Nice.
To I just did a dumpster fire for New Year's Eve cake,
Perfect.
a dumpster fire of 2020, to a fireworks one. So it's really a lot of times I'll ask people to, could be something simple like happy birthday. And I'll say, what's the color palette you want to do? Just so I'm not giving everyone something that I think is cool, but I'm finding what they want as well. And then putting my twist on it. So it's been a lot of fun. We need at least a day in advance for a cake. However, I've definitely whipped up some the day of or within 15 minutes if no one cares exactly what flavors of ice cream go in it. Um, the more time, the better, because the more time I'll be able to actually map out what I want to do. But it's one that I think, especially now, it's nice to have something that is totally your own. And so I think people have been having a lot of fun with coming up with creative, unique ideas. Um,
And I think you're so smart, especially because we can't have birthday parties, but you want to make it feel special, whether you're a kid or a kid of any age. Having something that like feels like it's you, or especially made for you on a cake is really sweet. I'll tell you a secret that we had a Lulu ice cream cake for my son's first birthday this summer, and it was delicious and beautiful, and it traveled 45 minutes very easily. So if you're on the fence, try it.
we had one go all the way to New Hampshire.
Oh wow,
I didn't know until I saw it on social media, but I was like, oh, wow, okay.
half
Someone
cake can
got it.
travel. Yeah.
They got it there and it was still looking exactly like a beautiful tropical fish.
Hey, great. Good for you. Is there any way that this community can help you with goals that you're trying to achieve? You mentioned that you have a new subscription plan for ice cream, that you have merchandise. What is it that you would like to showcase? Or, it costs nothing to share, to like something, to leave a review. If you're able to try something, give it a try. What would really help you in your business growth goals for this season?
I should really come up with some business goals. We haven't gone back to an operational plan since the beginning of 2020. So uh, we'll be getting that organized in the some sort of near future. But for me, really, what I would want the community to do is to come in and try some ice cream and and hopefully become fans and interact with us. And nothing makes me more happy than people interacting on social media or leaving a nice review, and moreover having the love of Lulu and enjoying it. And I work a lot in the shop as the person who works the counter, and um, nothing makes me happier than seeing people come back in like week after week and getting either new ice creams or going back with the ones that they love, and just having those fans kind of telling me their love. So I guess today I'm really just wanting to have people love Lulu and have them love back.
Absolutely. And keep sharing that love. Thank you, Laura. So we do have some room for questions, and we have some in the chat. One is I've noticed many companies use Instagram to share their identity by using a win it or get like a giveaway opportunity. Do you do this, and is it profitable? Is one question. Do you do any like giveaways or partnerships?
So it's been something we've thought about. We haven't done it personally. We actually just took part in Vergennes partnership. The downtown community did this really cool holiday baskets, and we actually gave one of our sweatshirts to that, so that you could be cozy at home and also still be thinking about Vergennes as a whole. And that was really successful. And it was one that for us, even if it wasn't successful, we wanted to be part of it just because we love Vergennes so much, and we wanted to be in that community and that community feel. And it was a lot of fun to just kind of watch the numbers tick up of our followers and people sharing and tagging us. So I don't know if it was positive with money lucrative, but overall what we were doing was for the fun and the energy, and that definitely went leaps and bounds above what we were expecting.
It's the good kind of contagious.
Yeah.
That's good. You talked about how your parents have mentored you. You also have young members on your team. One question is what vision you have for the future and what impact you want to have through your work.
Oh gosh, that's a deep question. Just to go back with my staff, I feel very fortunate that I've been able to have a lot of young people in my life. And I'm realizing more and more that with my pod being so small of my staff that are working there right now, I feel very motherly towards them. So one just got into college and I celebrated with her, and it was just one that I'm like, I thought I was like your cool older sister, but now I'm realizing I'm basically like your mom in a sense. But it's fun to have that kind of connector piece where I can be part of very milestone things in their lives, and help in writing recommendations and things like that. And I never thought I would be in a position where I could be sort of a mentor, and I still sort of forget that I have to think that way. Sometimes I'm a little more fun and than I should be probably. But impact wise, I just want to be a pivotal part of the community and helping in that way. For instance, we just started giving at the end of the week our baked goods to the John Graham shelter, so that we would end up throwing them out. And so I'd rather go down to them and have that kind of connector piece to the community. So I don't know if it's me personally, but I want the shop of Lulu and the Lulu name to be one that's associated with really great things and being great with the community itself. I think that boils down to what my parents were doing even before I was born. And so it's just been instilled with me that community is the most important thing that a business can ask for. And so I just want to constantly be giving back to those in the community that support us or don't know of us yet, but want to have something to be that connector piece. We want to be that connector piece.
I love that. And in the spirit of that question, if you wanted to have groupies and followers, the next question is, do you have a coupon card, like a punch pass? You know, if you come 5 times, you get the next one. Is there any sort of promotion that you're doing to build that loyal followership?
Not yet, but definitely have your eyes peeled, because that is on the very long to-do list that I have. And it's probably in the next like week or so that something hypothetically could be happening.
Fantastic. What a great, timely question. So if you do want to follow Laura, it's Lulu Ice Cream VT on Instagram, right? Did I get that correctly?
It is luluicecream.vt.
.vt, sorry.
No worries.
Thank you. Oh, another question. We love Lulu's. I highly recommend going into the store. My kid can verify that Lulu is the best ice cream in Vermont. Thank you. Well done.
Yes,
Um,
we definitely, I know, because she's the smartest one. She always knows that 3 scoops economically is the best decision. So
oh,
we love your daughter coming in because she's definitely the most strategic, well thought out ice cream orderer.
that's fantastic.
And to answer the question about the investors,
Yeah.
we don't have any outside investors. It's 100% my parents and myself. So we're definitely kind of the homegrown, do it ourselves. Really have that aspect of it. I think the investment comes from people spreading the love.
And you've made some investments this year in storage for your store so you can have more pints on site. And so if you have a chest freezer at home, you could really help Laura out by ordering in advance and then popping into her store and collecting a really great haul of flavors and love and care and joy by the pint. So Laura, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. If you have questions for Laura, feel free to connect with her on social media or through her website. And really, it's just been a pleasure to hear your story, hear how your business has grown and changed and what you envision for it for the future. It's just a privilege and a pleasure to speak with you and share this story with our community. If folks haven't yet joined, we have a new community. The Pivot and Thrive community is an online resource hub and collaboration space for Vermont business owners. I see some familiar faces here, so I'm really excited that we're able to create this new platform together and share stories and connect with people who are inspiring us and helping us to grow our businesses in a new marketplace. So I'm looking forward to connecting with you all more and more often, and learning about how we can support each other through collaboration. So Laura, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you for joining today and spending this time together to celebrate Laura Mack and Lulu Ice Cream.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.